fine. And then Paul Lowe, Commissioner Lowe is not here. We'll have a quorum. I would ask the members that had an opportunity to review the minutes. Any changes or corrections, please note. Otherwise, I'm looking for approval.
I like a motion to accept minutes.
Proper motion
So,
and second. Any other discussion? Changes or corrections? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now it's time for citizens' input. This will be your only opportunity to speak tonight. So as we come along, so anybody, and I've got so far registered if there's any others. I'm not sure if the other people here, they were here for the rezoning for the subdivision, which is not on our agenda. So I don't know if they're here, but Beth Nelson, would you like to speak?
My name is Beth Nelson. I'm from Strawberry Plains. I'm curious as to why the creation of a new zone is being even entertained at this time. As a county in the midst of a new land use plan and overall zoning overhaul, it seems counterproductive for us to be even looking at an A2 zone. It's already been addressed. We already looked at it. Jefferson City looked at it. White Pine looked at it. Dandridge looked at it. It was tabled in Dandridge. White Pine approved it. Jefferson City said no. My question to you is why? Why are we back here again? Why are we continuing to push slaughterhouses on our communities? Why are you not upholding current zoning? Why do we keep having to do the same thing again? We have procedures in place that create an environment for our county to uphold zoning and for the betterment of our entire county, but we seem to not be doing that. Zoning is here to protect and develop our county, our entire county, not just one area and not for just one private investment group. Also, every person it appears that comes to this table, and Terry, I've heard you talk about this at strategic planning, comes here to request a rezoning, they appear to be entitled. They feel like they're entitled. Every single person that comes up here that wants to go outside of the zoning we have appears to be entitled. They feel like that they are entitled to get whatever they want. That's exactly what happened with the slaughterhouse. That's on you. I'm sorry, but that's on you for not upholding and following our current land use plan, our current growth plan. Nobody ever even looks at that. And it's on you for not following our zoning and upholding it. When local meats came up with the idea of creating a slaughterhouse and went to Pop Seals, and he stated this at strategic planning. He said, I told them to go get a piece of property zoned agricultural and we would rezone it and get it rezoned to I-1. Okay, that's an issue. That means you have no teeth to your zoning and you're doing whatever anybody else might want us to do. It's interesting to me that Senator Nicely has just pushed Senate Bill 2622 to circumvent local zoning for slaughterhouses in any agricultural land across the state of Tennessee, not only in Jefferson County, but the state of Tennessee, regardless of what's next door. Whether it's a school, whether it's a church, whether it's a medical facility, you name it, it can now be placed, if it continues to go through in the Senate, it will now be placed in any A zone. That has created an opportunity for any industrial slaughterhouse in our county to be near you. Every one of you in this room, if you are near an A1, if you are zoned A1, you can have a slaughterhouse near you. I'm not sure how we have opened the door to Tennessee Code being amended and taking away our local control and oversight of zoning. It's opened the door to future issues. On another point, I thought it was interesting that the Senate committee, would you please let me finish, Donnell? The Senate committee stated, I like government making our own decisions, local government. One of the senators on the committee said that. We should be making our decisions locally, but we've got to have teeth to our zoning. We can't just do whatever anybody wants. Opposing the bill in Senate happened for that reason, because he was circumventing local zoning to get what he wanted. Every person there knew that Senator Nicely had done that. Industrial parks, he says, quote, Senator Nicely said, industrial parks are here, we have those available, they have good roads, they have good sewers, and face it, there are no times, no neighbors. That's where slaughterhouses need to go. My charge to you is for you to be a solution. Quit making concessions for zoning ordinances for people to be able to walk in here and do whatever they want. And place teeth on our zoning, uphold our land use plan, and uphold our zoning. If not, all of our property values are out the door. You have expertise to be able to do that, to stick to it, protect our property values, and all of that's for the current owners, not people who want to come in and do something different than what we have in place in our zoning. I'm disappointed in Senator Nicely and just going around what we already had in place. The County Commission had already spoken on the slaughterhouse, and you are here again looking at an A2, and I'd like to know why. Thank you.
Thank you. Being no others, we'll proceed. For new business, the first item is a revised site plan review for a new storage building to be located at Lakeside Living Boat and RV and toy storage located at 1924 East Highway 2570 by Holly Long and Brett Gore.
Has a typo.
Sorry, I put Brett to the part.
I know. I do have a brother named Brett.
Okay. So your name is Bart Gore?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, it looks, Mr. Gore, that basically what you're doing is just sort of expanding
Yes, sir.
on down there with the next storage there unit, and which you've got the acreage, so I assume you've got the appropriate number of parking spaces based upon this. Well, one of the questions we had was, is that you're going to put a new entrance in down here, correct?
Yes.
Have you got that approved by QDOT as of yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right.
The site plan has to be approved before TDOT will look at it.
I got you, okay.
I'm trying to go through the.
They'll probably dictate where it,
Yeah, they'll make sure the site distance and everything is appropriate.
This is just an extension of one that we've approved before. He's just gonna add another building. It's pretty flat ground, I can tell you that much. Up in Swansylvania area. So,
Nothing around it. Interstate one end, 2570 on that.
What about sewers that go?
did what?
Sewer.
This would be septic. You know, there's no sewer up there.
No sewer.
Off of this.
He's got a septic system for the current building, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to put one for this building too, but I was waiting on approval so we could get started on that.
I wouldn't see any issue with the soil mapping is, he definitely issue, but he's only gonna have a small bathroom, not a big area. I wouldn't see issue with it.
Typically, we require just a little bit more on site plans, but Dave and I looked at this today, and since there was a full-blown first go-around, we basically took care of the drainage and the topography and everything else. We understand what you're doing here. I don't foresee any issues, not.
Site plans are hard to come, I mean, it's hard to get people out there to do a site plan.
Okay.
This is such a small building and a large piece of property, it would not have any effect on the drainage.
No.
What's your say, Mr. David?
I'd say we approve it and make sure the parking, we can't really tell the scale of the parking the way it's drawn, but it needs to be at least 9 by 18 foot parking spaces. That's really all there is to it, and then TDOT approving the driveway.
I got a motion to approve.
Include what Mr. David said there.
Okay.
So,
And a second. We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
thank you guys. And ladies.
The next item is a revised site plan review for a new storage building to be added to the existing air and self-storage location at 2595 East, Highway 2070 by George Investments, Series 2004-2005. Mr. Daniel Wardlow.
You don't see these,
I don't need to see them.
So basically what it would be is that, I don't know if he has to come back with a revised plan
I
or,
think you should.
you think so? Okay.
Chairman, I'll recommend for denial, because there's no variance has been granted, so
Okay.
as presented, I recommend for denial.
Okay.
Nothing personal, I promise.
I understand. Meaning I'll come back next month, or?
Yeah.
You'll have to talk to the zoning official and present something different that hopefully meets the setbacks and everything, and Tim or Stephanie.
Okay. What if we were just to remove that chunk of land, or would you need a new site plan in order to be approved, or could we just adjust the existing one that we
You
have
can
here today?
adjust the existing one.
Okay, could we do that here today?
It would have to be, something that states.
Kind of hate to do it on the fly, Chairman.
I know, that's what I'm saying, I don't know how I would, I don't know how I'd get that motion in there to do it. I mean, I could, what if he took out, in other words, I assume what you're trying to do is get started on something, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If we took out the strip down here at the back of the 10-foot ones, if we say, just take those out, and then he could start on the others that are in compliance, and then if he wanted to come back with another site plan at a later date to make those others come in compliance, would you have an issue with that? Does that make sense?
I think you can do that part.
I would be okay with that.
Okay, so what that would say is the strip here, the ones that are 10 foot wide, we would take them out of this and not approve those in this site plan. Your others that are in compliance that you're gonna do, you can start construction on, okay? And then if you decide that you wanna come back and add those, then basically how you could situate those in and not need a variance in there, then we could approve that and you could do construction on those as well. Is that satisfactory with you? To proceed that way, or?
Yes, sir. As an alternative, could I propose an alternative very quickly? What if we just moved it back to 5 feet instead of 10 feet? So that would automatically become the 19 needed.
Make the building 5 feet by 260.
Yes, sir.
So in other words, instead of 10 feet wide, it's only gonna be 5 feet wide.
Yes, sir.
Well,
You gotta go through variance on
it's
that.
still,
because you're just about
it's
that
still
much
I know.
half a foot off.
Yeah.
I know it. Yeah,
That would've worked earlier.
yeah.
I agree with your proposal, Terry.
I feel more comfortable going that other route right now and just letting you come back and however we make that work to where we don't, it meets the guidelines there. If that's,
Yeah, that would meet the requirements.
I mean, if you're not comfortable with that and you want to come back on everything, that's fine. But I can get you partial approval on part of it, looks like tonight, if that's what you're willing to do.
I would appreciate that, so we can get the ball rolling on this.
Okay, so does everybody understand?
Yes.
All right, so the one long strip right here, we're taking out. The other things that are proposed, They meet the guidelines,
Right.
he needs no variances there. So that's what we'd be approving, and then with him having the option then of coming back and configuring those differently to make them work. Okay? All right. Floor's open.
Make a motion to approve that minus the 10x260.
Okay, I got a proper
Everything
motion.
on
Got a proper
the
motion.
plan.
Okay,
I'll second.
and a second. Okay, now any discussion? All right. Being none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? I'm sorry it took this way around it, but you know,
I apologize for the confusion.
that's okay, that's okay. And like I say, you're welcome to come back later on when if you can construe those a little bit differently, what in there, and we'll be glad to look at it and give you approval for the other things to make it compliant.
Thank you, I
All
appreciate
right,
your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is preliminary plat for 14 lots on Highway 2570, Old Newport Highway, Danridge, by Total Cupra LLC, Akadashi and Harel Patel. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad.
That's not my name, so.
Okay.
I'm Randall Freeman, land surveyor, and I was the one who plotted the plan there.
Okay, we were looking at this today, and I looked at the plat. So basically, this property has access to sewer from the city of Newport, which is a 2-inch force main that runs along the back property line right there.
Yes.
So basically, the homes that would be built in here basically would just have like a pump to pump in to make that work for your septic systems. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then we have utility water up the front of the road. There is one thing though that you're gonna need. There's an existing fire hydrant there, and we need another one 500 feet up the road. That meets our guidelines there. So that would be one thing that you would need to install. And you've asked for a preliminary here, so I assume then that when you come back for the final I think, if the fire hydrant's in, I think everything else met all our
It should.
requirements from that standpoint. So the one thing is that, of course, when it comes back, we'll need something, I guess, because it's the city of Newport has the sewer, Newport Utilities.
Yes.
Okay, as long as, I guess, Tom, as long as their signature's on there stating that they're okay with the existing line, you're good?
I never dealt with this, where somebody come in the county sewer line.
Well,
Yes,
it's already there,
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
so, okay. But, other than that, I mean, the land is flat. It's about as flat as you're gonna get in this area right here. And, there are no drainage issues, because there's county road on the back, state road on the front, drainage ditches all the way down through there. With proper tiles in as well.
You're gonna have access to those lots on the old road or?
Yes,
on
off
main
the
road?
old road, driveways will be cut in off that road just due to
That-
speed
that
and
makes more
everything.
sense.
Yes,
And the state road would require permits for each individual.
Right,
Okay.
right.
all right.
Yeah, the only thing I see, and Terry and I both agree with that there's another fire hydrant needed. So all properties are within 500 feet of
Yeah.
a fire hydrant.
So,
And I think you can do that and make sure everything's got good coverage, just one's needed.
Right, and that would be towards Dandridge.
that's right,
Yeah,
correct,
from
yes,
existing.
yes.
Somewhere-
You're good the other direction, so.
Somewhere in this range right here.
Okay.
probably.
Perfect.
Other than, I mean, you know, as far as that goes, I mean, once you get that in, you're ready for a final, because there's no roads to be built, there's no, I mean, the gas is there, the electric's there, the water's there, and then now you'll have the sewer there, so you've got everything that you need on this piece of property. Like I say, the fire hydrant, and then you'll be ready to
That's
come back,
it.
come back for a final.
Come back with the final plat.
Okay, all right,
And all the signatures will have to be on there for all the different certificates.
right.
Okay.
Can a county, like Cobb County, can they say no? for the sewer?
They could, in which case, then if he doesn't have that on this final plat, then he wouldn't get approval.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Talk to
Scott
them.
County installed this for this purpose.
I got you.
The money was put up and left or else they wouldn't have put it there.
Okay,
so.
I understand, okay. Well, like I say, when the final comes in and they've signed off on it, then they're gonna be okay with it,
Right.
okay. All right, any questions, any other questions regarding this preliminary?
Chairman, I recommend for approval with
Okay.
the conditional upon the fire hydrant.
Okay. All right,
So move conditional upon fire hydrant and signature on Cobb County's.
I got a proper motion
Second.
and a second, okay. Any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
David? The next item is proposed zoning resolution amending the zoning resolution of Jefferson County, Tennessee by establishing the A2 Agricultural Forestry and Food Processing Zoning District for Jefferson County, Tennessee. You've had this before, and it is correct, it has gone to all three cities. Dandridge did not take a vote on it. So the request was to take some of the, I guess, the critique or anything else, or concerns that they had, and maybe come back and address this issue and proceed. So that's why it's back on your agenda. So,
I think one of the things that you brought back, Mr. Terry, was that you had some concern from Dandridge on setback. They'd like to see it
increase.
increase.
Yes.
Did they give any indication on the increase?
No,
They didn't,
they
okay.
did not. They just thought that what we had there was not sufficient, based on what they considered to be, an odor problem, from that standpoint. And so that's why we're here. I had, White Pine, I had no issues. Jefferson City, of course, they voted it down. So anyway.
But in the thing, it doesn't really matter what the cities
That's
do.
true.
The county commission has final
say. They
final
do.
say.
Yes,
So it's just a
yes,
courtesy call.
it is, courtesy call. And like I say, if we do this, then I'll have to start the procedure over again. Essentially, if we make changes to this, that's why it goes, which is fine. That's just part of the process.
If it's not approved by the regional planning commissions, then it takes a majority of the entire membership of the county commission to pass it.
Takes a majority membership, the county commission pays anything.
I mean, the entire county commission, if it's approved by all the planning commissions, then it takes a simple majority of those present in a quorum.
No,
But I'm telling you what the state law says.
county commission, Tennessee Code Annotated says it takes a majority of the seated members before we can pass anything. Which means if there's 21 there, if 11 of them show up, if 10 of them vote for it and one of them vote against it, it fails on
Okay.
anything. So, just for clarification.
Okay, I was just telling you what the.
Yeah, I know what you're
the zoning
saying, but it's,
portion of the state law says about that.
I don't know why they've got that in there, but anything we do, we have to have 11 votes
Okay,
to do, I
I
mean,
didn't know that, thank you.
they do. They have to have 11 votes, and so if there's 10 show up, we don't have quorum. Which, and if there's 13 show up and they want to suspend the rules, they can't. Because it has to be a majority of the seated members. Now, the committees are not that way. Like a budget committee or whatever, if they've got 6 members there, they've got plenty. They've got 4, over half. And they can vote 3-2 to 1 abstention. Don't work that way on the county commission though.
Okay. All right, so I guess my question is on this. I mean, I don't know if I've given you, I don't remember if I've given you any of the feedback that I got back from the meetings at all, but, you know, but that was one thing that the people from Danbury said, they felt like that we didn't have big enough setbacks for the building, from the property lines. And I think what we have, 200 or 250?
No, we had 75 and 50.
75 and 50, that's what it was. So they didn't really give me any kind of direction. They didn't give me any recommendations. They just said that they thought that was not enough. And so I'm just asking.
So what, besides that, what were the other things that they did give you feedback on? Besides, and that one is a fairly easy adjustable. I mean, if we can just, it's coming up with a number, I don't know what satisfies everybody.
Did Jefferson City say why they denied it? Give any specifics?
I don't know if there were specifics as to why they denied it. A lot of it had, you know, I think setbacks was one of the issues that they had. I think the other thing is that I'm not so sure that it was everything that was going to be designated to be allowed in the A2 zone. I think it was the meat processing was the big stickler for them. You know, at that point in time, because it was the hot topic. And you know, you're asking me to speak for their board members. I can tell you what the feedback was, and you know, some of them no feedback at all, and you know, it was just their vote, and from that standpoint. So at this point, it wasn't. It was. Yeah, it was. There were enough votes there to vote it down, but it wasn't unanimous. So there was some there who felt like it was the language in it that they were okay with. Okay. Well, finally, we didn't really have an issue. I mean, I explained it, and I think they sort of liked it to a certain extent, because it could be something in their zone up there where they're at that they could expand to use and for a commercial, you know, something that they said that they would entertain, that they wouldn't have a problem coming into their area. Okay. And so, but for Danridge, like I say, when it was there, and you know, and it came back down to it, you know, the setbacks were the big issue there, because people were more afraid of that. And I mean, they explained what their reasoning was to me to a certain extent, and I sort of understood it in a way, the way I did. Okay, it was a fear, is what it was, that basically that there was going to be a constant odor there affiliated with it, and that's why they felt like that we needed bigger setbacks. And so at that point in time, I basically just pulled it. We didn't take a vote, and I just pulled it, and I said, we'll take it back under consideration for the planning commission and listen to what you said, and go from there. And so that's why we're back here. So it's up to this board tonight whether to decide if they want to tweak it and change it and go back and start the process over again, or if you don't. So that's where we're at. So let me ask you a question. Have people approached you with apprehensions or things that they felt like that needed to be added to this? That they had concerns to you about, as far as that goes, as far as setbacks or whatever? Or anything else that we would look to do that maybe go to A1 zone besides meat processing? Because that's the key, that's the point I try to get across. But that was the main topic. That was their main fear. Everything else in there,
that's
you know.
been, the ones that called me, that's been, they don't want a meat processor. Hadn't said anything about a salsa plant, hadn't said anything about a flour mill, hadn't said anything about the ice cream plant, all the other stuff that we did. And the fact that it is, I mean, if it's like a distillery. You may not like liquor, but if it's a legal industry, we cannot, by state law, this is right, Mr. Ray, we cannot prohibit the industry. we gotta find a place for it. And as I said up front, we made a mistake on the I-2. It opened up some things that were not good in different places. And I don't think we ever foresaw, nobody foresaw a pandemic, nobody foresaw a meat shortage, nobody foresaw a lot of things. But as far as the big issue, it's focused on, I don't want a meat processor around me.
Right.
And I wish a lot of these people would go to some of these
Just-
meat processing plants there's no boy down at Loudon's got one, Sugar. You can eat off the floor. I mean,
Oh.
if you drove by, I drove by 3 times trying to find it. And did not recognize it as a meat processor.
There's no poison water in wells and.
No, I mean, it's clean, it's got landscaped, the guy's got a nice place.
Was there any smell there?
Not that I could tell, Miss Sue, I mean, and that's all subject, I understand, I grew up on a farm, but as far as what you would think about somebody having carcasses hung out under the shed and, or stripping deer out on a boom pole on the back of a tractor and guts in a barrel, no ma'am. There was not any of that. And I looked around and I don't know where he had the stuff. Or if he just had it, that he took it away on trailers when he killed it, or I don't know what the plan, but as far as you walking up there, if you did not know that guy processed meat, and it's kind of like Junior Harris is up there in Greene County.
Yep.
You turn and drive back through a subdivision, and
There.
literally you drive back through a subdivision where it's at back there.
You
And
don't
it's,
have any problems with that?
to the best of my knowledge, I've not found anybody up Greene County that could tell me that he has a problem with any of his neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on a piece of property back there. You drive back through there, and he's back here at the back. I mean, you pass 15 houses plus going back through there.
But since it's zoned A1, right?
It's an agriculture
I mean,
area up there. I don't know anything about
Area.
Greene County zoning. I
So-
couldn't tell you.
so right now, someone could go in there and hang one from a tree
Well, right
and
now,
skid it
it's-
out and let the guts fall down on
yes,
the ground.
yes.
Huh.
And they could, you can build a hog house there, you can build a chicken house, all that's normal farming practice, but I just think we've got to find a way that there's a balance there.
Yeah.
If you need a 150-foot setback, I'm not opposed to that. How does that affect whatever? That's not our job.
Right.
But if we feel we need a 150-foot setback and a 100-foot setback, I'm not opposed to any of that.
But staying in the A1 zone, couldn't a hog farmer go in there right now and put up a fence on his property line and raise 500 hogs?
Well, he can raise whatever it'll support, sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, or he can build a 50 by 500-foot hog house if he's got enough lot.
Right.
And fill the hogs to feed out right now. Or he can build a 50 by 500 chicken house.
And the odor from them would be a lot worse than,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been around a few chicken houses.
well, I caught chickens. Chicken catcher.
Are you ostrich feller too? I've heard them's hard to run.
Burnett produce.
But back to this,
$2
and like I say, the comments I've had, Mr. Terry, have all been directed towards the meat process. There hadn't been anything about sunflowers, the oats, or the vegetables, or the other stuff we're trying to do to create a zone. And I don't know, it seems very targeted.
How many animals are they processing a week?
I'd say
At Junior Harris's,
Oh.
I think somewhere around 100, and I'm not positive, Mark, but I don't know specifically. I know that I know 2 people from down in here that go up there. One fellow from Granger County and one from the lower end of Jefferson County down here. And both of them take 5 head apiece up there every week, like clockwork. I see their trailers go by the house. So there's 10 head out of Jefferson County. And so, I mean, it's not unreasonable that they're processing several head up there. But like I say, I drove to see part of these things, and they are not like what you are led to believe and imagine that they're like. And I'm not saying anything about Mr. Hodge over there, but he used to be right back to us over at Close, and he had a lean-to shed, and they scalded hogs in there, and they hung them up with the rafters and split them and run the stuff down in the lake over there. But on the upside, that's a wedding chapel now, so we won't talk about that. But like I say, it's not in your, what people imagine they are now, or were.
How many employees does it take to run the Harris operation for?
Can't tell you exactly. My guess is based on what they're doing and the size, and this is just a pure guess. I have no knowledge of what they're doing up there, other than taking a guess about what size it is and the pins and stuff like that. My guess is there's 15 plus people, 15 to 20 people. I don't know though. You know, the other thing that the other people that have talked to me, besides the ones that have talked about the meat processing, and that they just don't want it, period. And like I say, if it's a legal industry, I don't know, we can't zone it out. But the other ones have, the thing that came back to me the most was, you got the zone wrong.
And we did.
And we did. I fully accept responsibility. I was the one who made the motion.
Is it hard to take land like that and then zone it residential? If somebody wanted to?
I'm missing the point. Is it, what land, I mean,
Well, I'm just thinking about a lot of land there that's zoned A1. If it's near houses, could they come back and say they want to put another subdivision in? Could they rezone that residential?
You're talking about the owners of the land,
Yes.
or if they shut the meat processor down?
Well, the owner of the land.
oh,
They
that's,
could make a request.
yeah, they can make a request. That's their prerogative. They can always do that. Yeah, anybody can do that. So, that's their right to come here and ask for their property to be rezoned. It doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be rezoned, but they have the right to ask for it to be rezoned.
Okay.
This bill that, Mr. Nice is looking at, will this,
This will sort of be a moot point. Maybe. There may be some things in there. I mean,
There's a whole lot to that thing when you read it, and I'm not, it doesn't, from what I read on it and what I can find out about it, it really addresses the issue of the meat processor, and that's all it does. It doesn't do anything about these other things that we're looking at. And we have been typically on this committee proactive about coming into these things. In fact, it's like the crypto mining thing. Just the other day, there's another one popped up, has come up in Greene County up there, next to Miss Carolyn Broyles and them, and they're, I mean, that whole thing's blew up there. And we're miles ahead of where they're going to be. And what I worry about the most is not, and it's irregardless, I think, how you feel about the meat processor, but going ahead with what we're doing about the agriculture processing zone, I think that is important from the aspect that we've got some things that we need to address. Whether or not they come to fruition in the county is a different story.
Yeah.
But for us to be out here and we have no place that somebody can do these things, and there are markets for them, they might be some of the only things that save smaller farms. They might be some of the only things that preserve that rural atmosphere that everybody's after all the time. If somebody can come in there with a niche market and make ice cream in Sioux, or they can process tomatoes, or they can make butter, or whatever, that might be the thing that keeps them from dividing it up into a subdivision like what we've done tonight. And if that's what we want, and if that's what we're looking at, then I think there's a balance there that you strike of how much, what you do to get to that point. And if you want to encourage agriculture to be there, you've got to encourage it. If you don't, throw the whole thing open and build it all in subdivision. And then when we're done, we're done. And then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
Won't be any of us coming. But I don't think the bill that he's got, and I've tried to keep up with it, I do not think, Mr. Mark, that it addresses the other things we're doing. I think it's just strictly centered on meat processing. Yeah, and I think I'm not sure I'm good with that.
I'm not, I don't like sort of state government legislating to us on a local level on things like this that I think that we can handle ourselves. Just my opinion.
Well, they did that statewide with the changing the definition of agriculture.
I understand that, that's where that goes, but I'm just saying that, you know, it's hard enough. It's hard enough to get things done now, let alone, you know, I don't know, I just felt like it was a sort of a detriment to us to a certain extent. And, you know, anyway.
Well, one of the things, if you do that, and I realize that there's all kinds of reasons for looking at it, I'm just sitting here looking at our own little world. But one of the things, and I know folks out here and the ones that were in the meat processing plant, and all of that, everybody got excited, a lot of emotions high. Everybody's tore up about different things. And it's not a fun process.
No.
But that's the only way we get it worked out is this works, this doesn't. This works, this doesn't. Let's, just like with feedback you got, we're a little worried about the setbacks. Okay, let's make the setbacks bigger. We're worried about the ground, we'll make the ground, you know, come to some kind of consensus, because end game of the thing, I mean, I think everybody's trying to do something good. It's just a matter of how we get there with it. And there again, like I say, if we could just sit down and say, hey, you can't do this, that'd be one thing, but that's not where we live today. If it's legal, we've got to find a place for it. Do we have in here, and I couldn't find it when I was reading through here, we talked about what our boundaries were with this thing, about what we have in our thing already. But part of it supersedes USDA regulations and all that, and I did not find that in here where we removed. Like it says in A1, you can't have any retail sales.
That's correct.
And I don't think that we can do that based on the fact that USDA says if they hire an inspector, they can have retail sales.
Yeah, because
But it wouldn't be cost effective because it costs like,
It wouldn't, but I don't think we can have that in there, Chair.
Right.
Because here's the other thing. In A1, Food City can go right there and build on that lot. And if they can have a retail sales, that is a suit waiting to happen.
true,
Pilot or whatever it is now, Casey's or, they can build on that same lot that we're talking about down there right now
sell retail.
and sell retail meat. Roadside Market can sell retail meat.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have the authority to do that, and if we don't, why is it in our regulation then, Dave?
Because we have the authority to do it.
You can say Food City can sell, they can put in a store right beside them and sell retail meat. And somebody that has a meat processing plant and a store built on the same property,
That would probably be one for the, if we don't have it expressly written into the ordinance, that'd be something for the Board of Zoning Appeals to look at.
that's expressly written for a court case is what that is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we allow in agricultural areas now, we allow fruit stands and all that sort of
I
thing.
understand, but in our regulation, with the specific things with the meat processing, we have that verbiage in there. And I think it's gonna be cost prohibitive. I don't think it'll ever happen because hiring a USDA inspector is not cheap. But I don't think we need that in there if we don't have the ability to do it. And I think we're opening stuff up for a court case. Because if Food City can sell a pack of hamburger wrapped that they cut up and ground back there. Now, the only thing they didn't do is they didn't kill it on site or in another building. But now you think about it, if they brought the meat in and they ground it in there, what's the difference, Mr. David?
Not much.
That's a pretty fine line. But we had talked about that, and it was, when I made the motion, it was to remove that in there, it was in there, I don't see it in here.
in part of the A2, when we were going through the A2.
No,
To
in
take
in A1.
I know, but that was part of the resolution that we were taking around. You had that language in there to take that out.
It was in the, well, I think it was, I
There
don't
was two
have.
parts, I know there was two parts to this, when we were in there, and one was, I don't know if one of them was just to, revise the definitions, and then the other one was,
Guess that's right, I forgot that, I did see that, it revised a bunch of that stuff, didn't it?
there were two in there, and so,
And we had to revise it in the sections where it was mentioned,
Okay,
a lot, you know.
I just want to make sure.
To comply with the way the definitions were redrafted.
And the other thing that I guess I want some feedback on, I have had a few questions about this. Why did we choose only I-1 and not C? What's the difference between,
maybe, I'm not sure if we have any vacancy available, to tell you the truth. I think everything that may be zone commercial has got a building on it, per se.
I understand that, but
So I'm not sure, I don't know.
But by that
Really-
by that reasoning, when we get done building houses on everything zoned R1, we got to
Yeah.
quit.
Well, I'm just thinking there that,
No, what I'm asking is
I don't know why we didn't put it in C.
why wouldn't, because is it not a commercial enterprise?
It is because you're selling stuff. And you can sell foodstuffs in a C1 and C2 zone because we have,
Restaurants.
That's our commercial zone.
that's our commercial zone.
That's what I'm asking, and I've been asked that question, so I thought I would bring it up. I mean, if we're doing this and we have that, is that something we're missing? I'm trying to get this thing right this time.
Well, that's why I hope the way we had the language is saying in the A2 covered that. But now, that being said,
Well, the I-1 though was for the,
I understand.
anything over
Yeah.
the 100.
So, you know, I guess the thing is if you're in a C2 zone and we allow this in a C2 zone and you're already set up as a business or store, then I assume that you could, if you meet the guidelines of whatever we have for a meat processing plant, that could be an amenity to your business, could it not?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just asking, and I'm not advocating, I'm just asking because I've been asked that 3 different times.
I know, I understand that, and that's why, to me, the thing was that, for me, for the A2, the thing I looked at is that I looked at the retail opportunities to sell the product
Yes.
in a highly visible area as far as that goes. That was my thing on the A2. I didn't care what we sold as far as agricultural products. That was irrelevant to me. My thing is that, and the feedback I get is, and the reason I say that is that I look at the farmers markets, okay? And so the thing is that I know in Danridge that the farmers market has become extremely popular. And so we're thinking, okay, you need to grow. Well, they're in the corner parking lot there as far as that goes. And we looked at land that we had to build them a brand new one. But they didn't want to go because they wanted the visibility where they were at, because that helped them sell their product. And I understood that, what they wanted here, even on the meat processing, but any time that you can be visible, it helps you in your retail. And, I mean, everybody knows that locations are extremely important, but I'm just saying that people, once they see you, once your name gets out there, yeah, they'll be able to find you. But until then, you need to be able to have a draw. So that was my thing with that. That was my whole thing with A2. I didn't care what was sold in it, as far as that goes, the products, as far as that goes with agriculture. I just wanted them to have the opportunity to be in an area that they had some visibility where they could market their product. That was my whole, that was my gist, the whole thing. Because I just foresee, I don't know, I mean, I've been trying to just look at things in the future, and I just see where agriculture is going to go, and eventually, it's this, and it's my opinion in this county, is that you've got to be, as a young person, if you want to be in agriculture in here, you cannot afford to go out and buy land in this county, buy equipment or anything else. Even though you want to love to farm and that's what you want to do, you just can't do it. Financially, you can't do it. But farming is going to change, in my opinion. And I think farming is going to be, you're going to grow more crops on less land. And the people that come in is going to do that, they're going to have some business background and some savvy, and they're going to understand that if you make it easier for them to get into business and give them the visibility, they'll want to do it. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Here's the other thing on this thing too, and I've been reading it on some of this stuff, but there is a huge push on what they call vertical farming this too. And that's when they're doing lettuce and they're doing hydroponic stuff. They're also doing some in soil, but they're starting with these things and they've got racks, Jigger, and they'll put the stuff up, and as they come down, and then they're harvesting lettuce in 6 weeks. So is that something we're forgetting in here?
That's the reason I wanted this.
And this thing is, the other thing that I have, and I've talked to several people about this, one of the things that I like very much about this zone, it is the narrowest zone, besides the one we just created the other night for the crypto hunt. This is the narrowest zone we have. I mean, if you're not agriculture, if you're not doing the processing, you can't put a ball bearing factory, you can't put a shoelace factory in the building, you can't have If you've not got the agriculture in there, you're out. You can't sell tomahawks and bullwhips to the tourists. You've got to have, you're narrow in this. And this is one of the things that I like about it, is that it does, it gives opportunity for the agriculture, but it does keep it narrow to where that we're focused on what we're doing. We're not just throwing it open.
It's more of a level playing field.
Yes, and one of the things that Mr. Mark brought up was about how do we limit, we don't want, we're not looking for a ConAgra or something to go in this. We're looking for, this is your local thing and it's distributed across the state. And
Local farm.
if you had, and I've even talked to another commissioner that brought up about agriculture park. I don't know how, I don't know, there again, it's about location. But let's say that you've got this stuff in every county and it's much more environmentally friendly. It's much more, rather than hauling it everywhere or trucking it or all that, you have got all these local producers creating all this money that turns over. Most of the money in agriculture turns over between 6 and 7 times in the county. So for every dollar that goes in there, it's creating $6 to $7 of buying power. Whether it's at the co-op, where it goes to the co-op and it pays a salary there, that guy goes to Walmart, Walmart pays their employee, they go to Food City, whatever it is. But to me, this takes us down the road a long way towards committing that, yeah, we want business in here. We want the right kind. We want legal businesses. We've got this stuff here and we're saying, here's what you gotta do to be here. If you don't wanna do this, then that's fine. But here's what you
I talked to a
gotta do.
lady today, they raised enough fee where she's got to go either Greene County, Hamlin County, and somewhere, I think Sellers, she said, she's way on down the list at Sellers. And I can't see having to haul it that far.
Well, if you leave here and go up there to Harris's, or if you go to Loudoun County, you're talking about 60, 70 miles.
Yeah,
Harris is probably not quite that far, but Loudoun County, guy down around Loudoun County is close to 70 miles from here. That's one way. It's a 140-mile round trip.
pulling a trailer, getting
Pulling a trailer, getting-
3 miles a big gallon.
So, how, like I say, I think it's more than just the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
It's, this thing is, I'm not sure that bill going through the state is more than the slaughterhouse, but this is. This has to do with a whole lot of where we want to be 10, 15, 20 years now in agriculture. Do we want to have any agriculture? Do we want to hold on to anything? Or are we okay with just building it all in houses?
Is there any way you can get with county commission and ask them about setbacks?
That's not the county commission's deal.
That's
Chair.
not their deal. It's for us to come up with something and present it to them, and they either like it or they don't like it, or they'll make suggestions and they may kick it back to us, and they may say, no, we're not interested in doing this. So, that's the process. We're just going through the process. Like I say, we'll start again with the cities, if that's so being. If you want to tweak this and add some things to it, as far as setbacks go, we'll do that and go back through the process again. And then eventually, this time, it will go to county commission this time, I'd say, and let them make the decision. And then we'll know where they stand, So,
Well, if we do a further setback,
okay.
which is what they want, can we do that thing with the plant and put an allowance in there for the storefront.
In other words, the storefront not being as far front.
Storefront could be like 75 feet from the road,
That's what I sort of had written down right here.
and then 125 feet for the plant, or 100 feet from the plant.
That's whatever you think.
I mean, that's what I'm asking. Can we do that?
Yes, that's-
Okay.
Yes, so. So basically, if we, and we entertain a motion and you want to put that in there as whatever you feel comfortable with on setbacks, then we can go with that. I don't know if there was anything else in there that we wanted to change, per se, so, if that's how you want to proceed, that,
I guess the only thing that I can still go back to on the larger things, 101 plus, and we're talking about a larger plant.
okay,
We're not talking about what's going in here, we're not talking about it's gonna take, this thing gonna be expensive, but, you're gonna be killing 800,000 a head a week or something on a larger plant. It's just, and by the way, we need to do it because, JBS, which is one of the big three. There's Tyson, JBS, and, that just left me. But anyway, there's three big kilns all across the country that own them. They own about 85% or better of the packers. They have looked at a piece of property in McMinn County to build a facility to kill 800 to 1,000 head a week. And so we need to know where they're going to,
okay.
just so you all know. And I guess I'm asking about it, do we include commercial ground in that? And I'm kind of looking for a,
We can,
For one that big, right now, we would have to designate that to go into an I-2 zone, would we not?
no, this thing puts it in an I-1.
I-1, okay.
And that's the thing, I'm not positive that after looking at all this and being going through this, I'm not positive that I'm super comfortable with anything in I-2 right now to go in, that if it wasn't an extraordinary case.
Okay.
I'm not saying I wouldn't, and I don't want to say that at all. But what I'm saying is, I-2, it deems, it's pretty high level when you get to looking at it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I just, have come to realize that it's a big deal for me to go there.
Okay,
So, but this one takes it into, anything 101 and over animal units go in I-1 according to this new thing
right.
that we're doing here. Because somewhere it's got that in those definitions or whatever.
Okay.
And I guess what I'm asking for your all's opinion, do we include
Yes,
commercial ground?
I think we should.
it certainly wouldn't be detrimental to the,
Be two ways of making money.
Yeah, you're going to, if your Walmart comes in, it's going in a commercial setting, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, the thing is, if you have a zone that's for that type of use, let's say meat processing or other food processing, the retail would not adversely affect that. So there wouldn't be any real problem with that as long as it was set up properly. With the right number of parking places, entrance, egress, all that sort of thing. As far as the use of that zoning district, there should, in conjunction with
And that's what I'm saying,
Process,
it
there
will,
should be.
it will allow us
it
to
depends how you
direct,
want to write it. You can write it appropriately.
it'll allow us to kind of direct where we want that to go, rather than not having anything, and they're coming in here. But like I say, JBS has already looked at one site in McMinn County. And they want to locate, according to what I was told, they want to locate different regional type stuff. They're wanting to pare down because of the supply chain issues. Instead of having it all trucked in from Iowa or Illinois or wherever the thing is. So then, is it C1, C2, what are we talking about there?
For what, the retail part of it?
No, for those large plants, for the plants coming in, if they was gonna come in there, if we're gonna do that.
No, I don't think it would be the C2, one of the commercial districts, have to be one of the industrial or agricultural processing district.
No, we're not talking about the A2 is from, as far as the meat processing anyway, it's from here to 100. You know, we've got an animal unit.
Well, I would say it's probably gonna be an industrial district.
Well, this one already takes it to I. I mean, this already goes from, takes it out of I2 into I1.
And you want to add C1 or C2 too?
And what I'm wondering is, do we add commercial property to that?
I guess what he's thinking is that, can you sell retail out of an I1 district?
If you choose to,
Okay,
if you choose to write the resolution that way. I don't think the C2 district or the C1 would be appropriate for a large plant like that. That territory is normally reserved for retail, you know,
Okay.
similar type.
And that's what I'm asking, like I said, I've been asked 3 times that question, and I won't be able to go
If you're
back and
gonna have
tell.
good commercial property, let's say an interchange, a major interchange or along a major highway, you wouldn't want to have it taken up by something that doesn't need that type of road frontage and have, you see what I'm saying? Just like you wouldn't want to have an industrial park taken up with something other than an industry.
Like Cheesecake Factory or something.
Yeah, or like, yeah. Point being is that if you're gonna have all that infrastructure there to handle industrial in an industrial park, you don't want it to go to waste by, by housing something that doesn't need anywhere near that type of
okay.
services.
Input, any more questions? Are you ready to revise this and inform,
I think we need to tweak it or something.
okay, well then that's what we're here for. And so far, we looked at the tweaks as the setbacks, we've got that in place. And anything else that you think you want to add to that?
This verbiage we've got in here on 717, Mr. David, if we've got that in there where it says sunflower, oats, fruits, vegetables, similar agricultural materials, ice cream, cheese, sauce, other products made from dry from milk, wheat, corn, processing involved, the animal units, do we need to add anything there for that vertical farm and the stuff that's,
I don't think so. Maybe I'm being naive, but I don't think so.
that's what I'm asking,
Which is basically, it could be fruits, vegetables.
they're growing all kinds of things, it's unbelievable what they're doing. And those things, watching those things go down and go through their cycle, they've got them down to, one outfit's got them down to shipping containers, let's see. And they come in and drop a shipping container in Boston, or they come in and drop it at next to a restaurant in wherever. And it's totally self-contained in there. And they're growing stuff in there for that restaurant. And then they're doing stuff like you would go in down to, it looks like a huge warehouse. They've got grow lights and they've got all this other stuff, but like the mushroom farm down there, Monterey mushrooms, down there at Loudon. but these things are growing lettuce and onions and all, I mean, it's totally weather controlled, get every 7 weeks they rotate a crop. Unbelievable.
It's amazing, yeah.
Once you get the process going, you just start all over again, and
All it is they clean them,
it just keeps
It
coming.
starts
and
all over.
it starts all over at a continuous flow.
I don't know, I think that's the future, and I think that it's a business, but it's also related to agriculture, and it's something that I think that basically that somebody young, entrepreneur wants to go into it, they can afford to sort of get into it as far as that goes. I look for be a lot of grant money available to do it, and so my thing is that anytime I think that you have a business and you're a part owner, you're a part of it, you take a tremendous amount of pride and you want to succeed. And I think we have, and I guess my thing was is that I looked at it this way, is I said, we're right adjacent to Sevier County. Do you know how many restaurants there are in Sevier County? I don't. But every one of them sells tomatoes, lettuce, onions, pickles, all these kind of things. And so all you have to do is get in your truck every day and drive around these people and give them their fresh produce, and they pay you, and you come back and you do that every day. And it's not only strawberries, it's cantaloupes, it's watermelons, it's everything you can think of that you're growing, basically tomatoes, everything. You're growing it on a year-round basis because it's in as far as climate-controlled growth as far as that goes. And it's just, I don't know, I just think it's the future of farming, because you can do all that on 1 acre to 2 acres of ground.
Right.
Is all it takes. It's all it takes to do it. And, and that just, one guy just may want to come in and grow tomatoes. The next guy wants to do cucumbers. It's irrelevant as far as that goes, what you do. I'm just saying that it's a lot of businesses right there that keep coming in.
I know somebody that does pickled eggs and deviled eggs. He can sell nationwide now.
Well,
And that's the thing, I mean, you look
Tractor
at
trailers, every day you see a different tractor trailer.
the old boys that own Bluebell
yeah.
ice cream.
Yeah.
It's a Jersey farm out there, and started out as a Jersey farm. The ice cream business got going I am. But the old boys that own Bluebell, they started as a Jersey dairy out there. Started making ice cream, and their actual tagline when they first started, Chigger, was "We eat all we can, and we have to sell the rest." But that's okay. but they, those things like that morph into things that you never imagine. And but it started out on a farm out there. And if we don't have a place for this stuff to happen, it's never going to happen here, and we're never going to grow. And frankly, like I say, I mean, we can grow one good crop of houses, but then it's over.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain whatever you want to do. If you feel comfortable making a motion with what we've talked about and adding that to it, and you want to proceed, if you feel comfortable that you need to think about everything we've talked about tonight, and you want to come back next month, I'll do that. But like I say, I'm what you feel comfortable with.
I'm gonna make a motion we proceed with what we talked about.
Okay. With the changing the setbacks or anything as far as it goes?
Yeah, I think we ought to, if they express that's an issue for them, let's try to accommodate it.
Is that 75 on the front and 125 or 150 on the sides? What do you want to? I need to get some language in there showing that, because they're going to ask me.
Right, get it from the storefront to the factory.
Well, that's what I'm saying, 75, yeah. on the
I think
front.
75 on the storefront,
Yeah.
because that gives ample parking, that lets them, Mr. Davis talked about where they back out, door, stuff like that. I think that gives them ample space, doesn't it, Mr.
It
Davis?
does.
Okay, so.
You need at least 60 feet just to have two 20-foot parking places and a 20-foot.
And if you've got any kind of store,
Yeah.
another 40, 50 foot back from that's not gonna be a big deal, Terry.
Okay. So now then I need what you want to do on the sides and the rear.
Well, I'd say at least 100, and I'm not opposed if you all want to make it more. I mean, you tell me. We're 75 now, we'll move it, we'll go to 100, or do you want to make it 125?
125.
125, because they may come back, that's not enough.
Okay.
So is that what you want on the rear too?
Yes.
So size of the rear, we 125.
Is that for the processing building or, okay?
Yeah,
Well, that'd be for any building,
yeah.
Okay.
only thing. I mean, if you just built a storefront, a little bitty processing plant, you still need to be within those dimensions.
And you said 75 feet of the storefront, how about, is that the same for the, it'll be 125 feet for the building where the processing is done?
Well, we're assuming that you're gonna be both together.
Okay.
That's what we're assuming.
That'd be symmetrical anyway, 125.
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
I just heard 75 feet on the storefront. And that's-
Well, the storefront could be 75 feet from the front property line.
Right.
They wouldn't have to go back 125 feet
I
to the
understand
storefront and then go with a plant behind that. They could start, and if they've got any kind of, if they got any kind of storefront, it's gonna be 50 foot, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think at least.
Because you got to have coolers, you got to have display case, you got to have a lobby
And bathrooms.
and bathrooms. I mean, I don't see that as a big issue.
Okay. So is that your motion, 125 front size and 75 on the front? To proceed with that, based on that, okay? So, I got a proper motion
I'll second.
and a second. Everybody understand what we're voting on? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll get this rewritten up and we'll start back through the process then. And, this time we'll go to let the commission decide, okay, county commission. All right. Thanks for that. I mean, it's been taxing, I understand, as far as it goes, but sometimes we just run into these. All right, David, we're in E and we've been here 2 hours.
Maybe we ought to have a workshop on that, advertise a workshop sometime on that.
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
Well, we can.
Unless,
The thing is that on the workshop, what it does is, it's a little bit more liberal. We can get a little bit more feedback as we go through the items, I guess, as far as that goes. Is that-
of course, the public would be
Go-
invited as well.
That's what I'm saying, so we wouldn't actually take any action at the workshop and try to hammer through this and see what the suggestions come in as far as that goes. So we can do that. I don't know how you want to do a workshop. You want to do it, I mean, would you want to do a workshop on a Monday and then before our Tuesday meeting and then come in and do that? Or would you rather spread out a little bit more?
Well, you run in the commission meeting if you do another Monday.
Okay,
See, because second and third Monday,
okay.
yeah, second, and third Monday are commission.
Workshops or your
You
meetings?
got one workshop, one vote,
Okay.
so you've got 2 there in a row.
The fourth Monday, I've got Bean Station in Rutledge.
Well, then we might have to have it, we might have to have one on a Tuesday and then the following Tuesday.
And that's fine.
And that gives you a week then to take your notes and see what you want to do. So, but the Tuesday before our next meeting, I'll have Stephanie schedule us a workshop. And you want 6 o'clock still work for everybody? You want to start earlier? You tell me.
Fine.
This
Quit
will
come.
be the third Tuesday, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Can we rent a tour bus and go look at
I don't think any.
I've got King's
For this
County
group, that's
meeting
what
that
we're-
night. I'm available the third Monday.
Yeah, that's what we're.
This is the only Monday or Tuesday.
You still got your
One's
bus
a create, one's a create,
Sure.
creates his own. other one is-
Never like to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about the third Monday instead of the Tuesday? No?
Commission.
That commission meeting, I thought,
I thought you said you had it on the second and the fourth.
second and the third.
Second and
This
third.
month we have a fifth Tuesday a week from now.
You can have another meeting, well, you can't get advertised.
No, we couldn't get
Couldn't get
it advertised. That's
advertised.
good point.
I think it's so fresh and everybody just use it before we.
Yeah, third Tuesday.
I'm gonna
Who
be
was
in
it?
Oh,
Kingston,
you're
Done.
in Kingston, okay.
unless we did it in the morning or early afternoon.
For each month, it's third Tuesday, Tuesday.
Is that a standing third Monday?
Every month,
Okay.
yeah, I only have one Monday and Tuesday. The only time I don't have a meeting on Monday, Tuesday is if there's a fifth one or the third Monday I'm available.
What about the third Thursday?
Yeah. I don't have any meetings on Thursday.
What about the fifth Thursday? Or the fifth? Yeah.
That's the 31st.
First, you could get it advertised in there. Could you not, Miss Tiffany? 31st?
For the 31st, yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to have it in Tuesday, no, actually, it wouldn't be in, no, I couldn't get it in, because the 24th would have to be in this week's paper, and the cutoff was today at noon.
Well, I swear I saw you give that to Steve. He's supposed to turn that in. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Do what?
He said he could get it in, just let me know.
We can do it this Thursday.
Well, if that's the case, then let's just go ahead and say the 31st then. And I assume you want 6 o'clock, you tell me.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll be at Thursday.
Thursday, the 31st.
Yeah.
All right?
March 16th.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, May.
All right, so
He does, how's that?
we should make pretty good headway with nothing else on our agenda on that, because if we go through this and we feel comfortable with a lot of things, when we come back to our regular meeting, we go through it to vote on it, we should be in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I'm gonna do, because the second and third Mondays are standing. No, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. We're on quarterly meeting. I'm sorry.
You
Okay.
done messed up.
Well, I done messed up.
You done messed up.
I done messed up bad. We're on quarterly meetings, so we had one in,
We don't have one in April.
we've got one in April. We do. Okay, I'm sorry.
So April is.
April's out,
April's out, yeah.
but we are on quarterly meetings.
Well, let's just leave it at the 31st.
Okay.
What time is it?
6, we'll do that. And, so we get that outside.
Everybody do their homework.
Question on this before we adjourn.
Get a church bus or something.
On G, with this resolution for the crypto mining,
Okay.
it does not say when that bond has to be pulled. Did we ever decide? Or is it at our discretion?
I think it's at our discretion,
Okay.
because we said in there, depending upon, what with the feedback we got from the utility company, as far as that goes. You know, it may be that they don't have to put, they may not have to put any infrastructure in from the utility company or whatever, but then maybe they will. I'd said,
But now, the utility company, we are,
we're covering them because of the
did we not have in there, or were we not gonna have in there somewhere that they had, all this stuff had to be paid for up front?
yeah, but isn't that why we're making them put up the bond, or the
Okay.
bond to clean up?
The bond's a cleanup bond.
Okay, well,
This is
remember,
the-
we talked about it, the guy, we don't, you know,
The solar thing.
I think what it was is that we had to look and see what the scope was gonna be to try to determine how much the cleanup is gonna be. And so, I
So
think
we
it's
didn't-
at our discretion
It was
to,
at our discretion.
to
Okay.
to determine what
That's
that
fine.
bond is gonna be.
I just wanted to check before we went all the way through this thing.
Okay. I hope so, because I already gone to Wi-Fi.
I understand. I'm just saying, I mean, it can be,
That's the way I had it in my notes.
okay. I'm just asking questions as I read through it.
One of the things, and I showed this to Mark earlier, but, you know, we talked about this, because after we got all these guidelines in, and we think, is there a place it can go? That right there is a farm that's sitting right adjacent to, in that little box right here. That's a substation with the railroad behind it, here, 100-something acres in White Pine substation. That tract right there would meet every guideline that we've gotten in there to put one of them in here. And you sit back and you think about it, but that one right there, I looked, that's a substation they said they had enough power at. You got the railroad on one side down there, they could actually bring stuff in, and then you own a state highway on the other one. And it's 120, and I looked at the setbacks, and they could put bukus of those things in there. So, you know, I sat back and I thought, you know, is there gonna be some place that would, and lo and behold, there it is. So,
And it's I mean, it's a good thing we went ahead and started on this.
you know, I guess the thing is on those, is that, and what I'm reading is that states are encouraging them things to come in here.
Oh, they are.
You know, because they look at, you know, I saw where the governor of Kentucky, he's begging them to come to Kentucky. I don't know if we are in Tennessee or not, but I know other states are.
And they are proactive in Appalachia because of the cheaper power.
That's it.
And these things are monsters on consumption.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I've read more on the one in Claiborne County, and I'll tell you this much. The people were really upset because they felt like it was just sort of was crammed down their throat. But you know what they didn't have? They don't have zoning. And they came before their planning commission, which is basically, they don't have a zoning, in zoning. They came before the planning commission and said, how could you all let this happen? And the guy said, we didn't have any choice because we don't have zoning. And the guy said, well, we need to get some, how fast can we get it? And the guy said, it's just not that simple. And so, you know, they weren't proactive, and so they got stuck. And I looked at it, it's a nice lakefront development, nice big homes and everything else, and you got this thing sitting up here on the hill.
And it's sitting up there next to the substation.
Yeah, that's where it is. And
The one in Greene County is about a half mile from the substation.
this one, you can nearly throw a rock.
Yeah, you can see the substation from where they've got the
Can you hear
container.
it?
That's what they complained the most about.
Oh,
the
it's the
noise.
noise? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. The one in Washington
close.
County, that's their big gripe.
Yeah,
It's
The
the
that's
noise.
the noise, but now, you know, of course, what we put in ours says that it has to be 60 decibels, and
Yes.
that's supposed to be a conversation
Mhm,
at the property line.
mhm.
So, I mean, you know, if you're 100 foot away from that, I don't know that I can hear you and Chigger talking 100 foot away.
Mhm.
They've had to put some noise abatement in on some of them.
Oh, did they?
They've had to, yeah.
They've
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah, they had to do it.
I think up there in Greene County, they've started it.
So they had to, they went back and had to install.
So they already had that in because they didn't have any,
In Claiborne County, that's what,
they
they
couldn't
just,
stop it.
they couldn't stop it. So one guy said, why are they doing it up on the hill? And then when it got going, he knew what was going on.
Loud.
And
Yeah.
they were mad. They were mad at their commissioners, they were mad at the planning commission and everything else, but their hands were tied. They had no legal way of saying, this can't go in here because they didn't have any zoning.
Yeah.
The boys over on commission in Claiborne County, they
No.
what do they could do?
Their hands were tied.
Yeah.
And they knew it, and they were upset about it. And you know, and they was like, well, how come the state let this go? Or why did T-Dec let this go? And all these things, they had nothing to do with it at all. So,
Well, what they do is go in the spot where there's extra power.
Mhm.
Now, there's two old boys out there that are, and they're out west there. but where they flare off this gas, Miss Sue, from drilling. And some of these operators that are not Shell and Conoco and all them, you know, the big outfits, Devon Oil, all that. A lot of them just light a pipe and run the gas and burn it off when they're drilling. They burn the natural gas off because they hit it as a precursor to the oil. And those old boys was sharp enough, they went around and they contracted with all them boys to pipe their natural gas into generators and keep them from getting fined, because if the state comes by in Texas or Oklahoma and they're flaring that gas off and emitting so many carbons or whatever, I don't know all the levels, but they'll fine them. They're supposed to be on a recapture system. But them old boys got them to pipe it into the generators, and they're running the crypto farms off of the generators, off of the gas.
Yep.
Huh,
They're gonna have,
they're smart.
yeah, $270 million worth of revenue last year to them two boys.
Yeah,
Gee,
I saw what the one, they talked in Greenville, I think it was or was it not Greenville, it was one in Washington County, $230 million.
oh my goodness gracious.
That's what was their revenue.
That was, yeah, I think that's right on the one up there. It was in the Washington Post or something the other day. They had wrote that out.
Is that more than you got? You didn't know.
Well, anyway, I'd say, just an update, and, remind me afterwards, because Paul sent me a picture. There was one of these things that came through Jefferson County on its way to Cleveland County, on a truck, okay, because it's so big. And when you see how big it is, you understand, sort of goes, and it slid off the side of the road, and they had to get it back on. And Paul just happened to be there, and he shot a picture of it. I won't show it to you, because he says, the picture's worth 1,000 words. He said, I never realized how big these things were until I saw
That's
it.
what I was telling
Up
you.
close.
They're
It's
containers.
bigger than the reactor they brought up.
Through here.
Well, they couldn't go up the interstate, because they can't get under the underpasses, so they had to take other state routes and everything else to get to where we're
Yep.
going. That's how big they
What they
were.
had to do with the reactor.
It came right by the
Came
dairy
right
checker.
Yeah,
Turned it down Collins Road, crossed there and over to the lake, and then they floated it to Phillips Bend.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
make a motion.
Got a motion, second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.